Hey, how you going? Take two, coffee. Hey guys, how you going? Welcome to another video. I'm in my lounge room today because for some reason it is really sunny in England right now, which I'm not complaining about, but it's way too bright to film in my other room. So today's video is going to be some calisthenic skills that you can start learning or practicing, or most importantly, have a play with. As you guys know, I taught myself calisthenics. I am super passionate about just playing, moving your body, trying new things, and just seeing what you can do. So as a beginner, if you're watching this video, not all of these movements are going to be accessible. In fact, they're quite difficult, but there is plenty of progressions that you can work on, and really it's just about finding some inspiration for things that you can do to move your body and to get stronger. So I've pulled together 3 of the main movements that I tried to replicate when I was learning calisthenics, and talked about the progressions and also shown you how you can maybe utilize those or have a little play with those once you can start building up towards them. So try not to get too hung up on the intricacies of this video and just see it as an opportunity to explore some different movements, have a little bit of fun, and just put a smile on your face as well. And any questions, you can drop them down below. All right, let's get straight on into the video. Okay, so the first exercise that we're going to look at is pistol squats. Now I'm still trying to get my strength back in these, but there are loads of progressions that you can use to work up towards pistol squats. And then once you can do them, there's loads of different variations that you can play with. So as a beginner, once you're comfortable with just performing a simple bodyweight squat with both your feet together and also your feet hip distance apart, you can start working on progressing to pistol squats. And this is a really good variation to start with. So you're just gonna sit onto a box or a chair or anything you have around your house and have one leg elevated in front of you and point that toe, and then control the movement down. And then once you hit the bottom, you're gonna push up through the heel that's planted on the floor and come back up to standing. The higher the surface that you're sitting on, the easier this exercise will be. So as you get a bit stronger, you can start to lower that down and start gradually progressing it. Now you may notice it's actually quite difficult to extend and keep your legs straight out in front of you as you perform the movement. And that's because it requires quite a lot of strength in not only your core, but in your hip flexor as well. So to improve this, what you can do is something that we call compression work. So here is an example where I'm in a low squat and I'm going to extend one leg out in front of me and just hold it there for as long as possible and then switch. So holding it for about 5 to 10 seconds. Another option is to sit with your back against the wall, or you can just sit in the middle of the room and try and keep your back upright, and you're just going to raise one leg off the floor, keeping your back as straight as possible, and then switch legs. This is a lot more challenging than it looks, so don't expect to be able to lift your leg very far at all, but you can either pulse it or hold it again for 5 seconds at a time. Because pistol squats not only require strength, but also balance, flexibility, and endurance as well, if you want to start practicing the strength aspect, but you don't quite have the compression there at the moment, you can always do an elevated pistol squat. So grab yourself a chair or a step that you have around the house, and you're just going to perform a pistol squat and start building up that strength. Now it does take a long time to learn how to do pistol squats and to build up that strength, so in the meantime you can always do an eccentric or negative version of the exercise, or you could hold onto a wall or something nearby to help support you on the up phase. Once you can finally do pistol squats, you can then start to play around with some cool little variations which don't really have much function but are fun to play around with. So here's an example of jumping into a pistol squat. As with most things like this, it's just about breaking down the movement and practicing each little step. So to begin with, you can just practice doing step-ups onto an elevated surface and really pushing through the heel and controlling that movement, keeping the core strong. And then once you're comfortable with that, you can move on to adding a jump. So when you're adding a jump, you're actually going to be landing on one foot, which feels really counterintuitive and unnatural. So to practice it, you're just going to keep trying and trying over and over again, using your arms to throw your body weight up and then landing comfortably on one foot, making sure that you're landing with your weight in the heel. Once you're feeling good with that, then you can start to incorporate the pistol squat part of the exercise. So you're just going to jump up, land, and then perform that pistol squat that you've been working on. Again, these don't really have much function, but they're fun to play around with, and sometimes they can look quite cool as well. So really it's just about playing around with it, and I find these a little bit easier sometimes to do because you have that momentum. As I keep saying, this video is just about introducing you to thinking about exercise as moving your body and having fun and experimenting with different types of movement. So try not to take it too seriously. You can always work on your form and strength in one training session and then just have playtime, like I like to call it, in another. There are tons of pistol squat variations and single leg squat variations as well, like I mentioned. So here are a couple to try. This is called a shrimp squat, and I actually still can't do these. I've never really been able to do these, but I wanted to put these clips in just to show you that it's fine to not be able to do something and just give it a go anyway. That is the best way to learn. It's just to keep practicing and trying, and eventually you will get there. This is a Cossack squat, so this is similar to a side lunge, but you're coming much lower to the ground and bringing that toe off the floor. But another great little thing to play around with, and you can always add a bit of mobility work in as well. All right, next we are moving on to some arm balances, which are probably the most fun and slightly frustrating exercises to play around with. So as a beginner, you're probably going to start somewhere around here, which is crow pose, or it might be called frog stand as well. This is a fantastic exercise, not only to build up upper body strength, but also to get you used to balancing on your hands. So with this exercise, you're going to plant your hands about shoulder width apart on the floor, and then you're going to place your knees on either the triceps, or you can place them on the outside of your arms, and then slowly lift one foot and then the second foot off the floor, and just get used to balancing there. To begin with, you might only be able to keep your feet or your toes off the floor for up to 1 second, but trust me, if you keep trying, it will get easier. You might feel like you're going to fall forward onto your head, so if you do have that concern, you can always just place a pillow there, and it's not very far to fall, so you'll be totally fine. As you start to develop your strength and your balance with this exercise, you want to start to move into a full frog pose or crow pose, and that's where your arms are straight and extended, and you're going to balance your knees on the back of your triceps. So this is a lot more challenging than having bent arms and having your knees on the outside of your arms, but you can slowly work towards it and you will get there in time. As always, this is about having fun, so you can always check online for some inspo for some different arm balances. Here's an example of a side one, and you can just have a bit of fun with it. Once you're ready to progress and try some different things, you can start working towards things like elbow levers and single arm balances as well, where your body is extended. These look pretty impressive, but on the scale of things are probably an intermediate move. So again, you can just try these ones out and see how you feel, and you'll probably just fall, but over time it'll get a little bit easier, and one day you'll just get it and it'll feel pretty good. These tend to be a little bit easier to do on an elevated surface to begin with, just because they're a little bit more forgiving if your body position is just a little bit lower. So you can always grab yourself a chair or a stool or a table, anything you've got around, and just have a little play around with these. With an elbow lever, you're actually going to have your fingers facing towards your toes. So your hands are in a bit of a weird, awkward back position, and then you're going to rest your body weight on your elbows. Because your body weight is being supported by your arms, this is a much easier exercise to perform than, say, a planche. That being said though, it still requires quite a lot of balance and strength. So to make this a little bit easier, you could straddle your feet and have them further apart, spread your center of gravity, and have a really strong posterior chain. So squeeze your glutes, point your toes, and try to keep your head up. All right, and we are moving on to the last one of the video, which is going to be headstands and handstands. Now, I've made tons of videos on handstands, so I can link them down below. You can go and check them out or have a little scroll through some of my videos. But we're going to have a look at headstands to begin with. All right, let's start with our trusty old friend, the wall. So you're going to come and place the crown of your head on the floor near the base of the wall, and then you're going to put your hands about shoulder width apart, about a foot away from the wall. So that's going to support you. So this is a tripod headstand. Then you're going to lift one foot off the floor and then the second foot, and you can stay in this tucked position, or if you feel comfortable, you can extend your feet straight up above you. And you can just play around with this position until you feel comfortable being there. Once you feel that that's pretty good, you can always move into doing some headstands without the wall there. And again, it's really about controlling the movement and trying to do it nice and slowly, so you're minimizing obviously any chance to fall or injure yourself. And here are just a couple of examples of how you can progress them, or some movements that you can play with while you're in a headstand. But you don't have to do these, they're just things that you can try for fun, or you could make up your own. Don't worry if you're a beginner and you just don't feel comfortable with this yet, or even with using the wall. That is totally okay, and I'm just giving you some different options. You could always check out some of the handstand variations and some of the progressions for those as well, which tend to feel a little bit safer and not so strenuous on some of the body parts. Here's an example of putting together a couple of the movements from this video. So going from a bent arm crow pose into a headstand, so slowly controlling bringing your head down to the ground. We're just adding a bit of fancy looking core work in the middle, and then bringing our knees back down and coming back up into a crow pose. Again, there is no right and wrong, so just have some fun. All right, moving on into some handstands. So I'm just gonna really quickly take you through some of the progressions into handstands. I have made some other videos on this recently, so I'll pop it up in the corner if you wanna go and check it out. But you can start with doing some kick up into handstand against the wall, and you can get used to being upside down this way and also building up the strength and endurance. You can either start with your hands planted on the floor like this, or you can just walk straight into it and bend and kick up with the momentum if that helps you. So at least you know the wall's there and you're not going to fall backwards. Another option is to do a chest to wall handstand. So this is going to be really beneficial for learning the correct alignment when you're in a handstand. So you're just going to walk yourself up to the wall, getting your hands as close as possible to the wall, and then pushing the ground away, bringing your shoulders towards your ears and pointing your toes and staying there for a nice period of time before walking back out nice and safely. Now, as an adult, especially from my experience, it takes years and years to learn how to handstand in the middle of the room. So while you're still on the wall, there's still plenty of stuff you can play around with. And here are a few different exercises, such as a hollow back hold and then a tucked hold that you can play with and look pretty awesome as well. So you can always try those out. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and that you found some different movements to have a play with. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. And again, I just want to reiterate that with calisthenics and bodyweight training, I think it's really important to not only learn the fundamentals and work on those things, but also to be able to explore and just have fun with it. By doing that, you really start to enjoy moving your body, and sometimes you can while away hours and not realize all the training that you have done. Now I know I'll probably get some questions about how many sets and reps you should do each exercise for, or how you know when to progress. And I've made a few videos on this in the past, but the exercises and the movements in this video really are designed to give you a bit of inspiration as to how you can potentially move your body. So next time when you're bored and you've got nothing to do and you're just sitting on the sofa at night, you can try and do some pistol squats using your coffee table. While you're waiting for your kettle to boil, you could always try and do some handstands against the wall, and really just have fun, because that's the most important part of exercise. Okay, that is it. If you tried any of the exercises in this video, I would love to hear how you went. So feel free to drop a comment down below. You can always head over and message me on Instagram, because I love hearing from you guys over there too. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Catch you guys later.